Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back. The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has set up a monitoring committee to ensure that the newly inaugurated Ghana International Trade Commission undertakes its responsibility of enhancing fair trade practices for the private sector. The monitoring committee will, in the coming days, recommend sanctions on some imported goods that are trading on the Ghanaian market through illicit means. The Ghana International Trade Commission was inaugurated by President Akufo-Addo last month. Ebenezer Sabuti has more in this report.
The 9-member monitoring committee of the Association of Ghana Industries and some other private sector business organizations is to boost the advocacy for fair trade by Ghanaian manufacturers. At a short ceremony to inaugurate the committee, Vice President of the AGI, Humphrey Dake, disclosed that cases of special import prohibition measures such as special anti-dumping duties and tariff adjustment have suffered delays. Chairman of the committee, Dr. Dawson Amwa, has hinted that the committee will be working strongly to ensure that unfair trade practices become a thing of the past. This will be done through initiatives in anti-dumping tariff on selected goods entering the country.
The GITC committee of AGI, representing the private sector, we don't have the power to impose, but we have the power, obligation to recommend for imposition. That is the truth. So our committee is to ensure that we collate. We really have our members ready to recommend from our end as petitioners. We are alleging for the commission to investigate and impose. So there's never a duplication or conflict. So we're here as a supporting function to our members to make sure that we put together our facts of allegation, evidence-based, for the commission to impose. We don't have the right to impose. Anti-dumping duties, no. We recommend for anti-dumping duties. We recommend for countervailing duties. We will recommend for adjustment of tariffs. So that is our function. And it's a function for the GITC Commission to impose. I think that is the clear.
Vice President Dake has been explaining in an interview the sole motive for setting up the committee.
The work of the board or the commission, it's very wide. And gathering data, information to adjudicate in the capacity of an appeal court to impose tariffs, countervailing measures, and other related issues can bring about trade war. Specifically, one of the panel members did say the situation in the U.S. is a clear case that one can refer to. So if we do not conform to the research base laid down by the WTO in gathering the relevant information to make a case against tariff set, it could be very challenging. Our work and our determination as a committee is to aid and support the Commission in gathering relevant data that will make the determination of their recommendation sound and evidence-based.
The AGI therefore admits that the unfair trade is not limited to imports only, but unfair competition emanating from the domestic trade where companies collude and involve anti-competitive pricing to gain market dominance.
And in Amala Developments, the AGI says it has agreed on key terms with the Chinese government on disbursement of $2 billion for its members. The facility, which is directly coming from the China Building and Manufacturing Company, is to serve as counterpart funding for the One District, One Factory program. The assurance from the AGI is coming at a time that there are reports the country is having some challenges in agreeing on key terms for disbursement. However, Vice President of the AGI, Humphrey Dake, tells Joy Business they have crossed all the hurdles for the disbursement to start very soon.
Initial offer on the $2 billion came with some terms. Over the period, we have engaged our Chinese partners, the Ministry of Trade, and even to the extent of the economic management team. There were a few changes in the terms. That is still under negotiation, but it's still positive that we will have this fund. We know as at date there have been some funds allocated by the Chinese that are ready to go. We are working on the 15% component. You know, this was an engineering procurement construction facility. The Chinese were doing 85%. We had to do 15% as promoters or government-supported agency. That is what we're working on. And finally, we have crossed that bridge, and we pray that very soon we will see programs running out. Thank you.
Now to aviation, and the Ministry of Aviation has indicated it is implementing the regulated agent regime to enhance safety in air travel and transportation of cargo and mail by air. The Sector Minister Cecilia Dapa disclosed this to Ghana Civil Aviation Authority's Sub-Saharan African Regional Aviation Security Workshop organized in collaboration with the UK Department of Transport.
Under this initiative, cargo operators have been approved as regulated agents, known as consignors, to apply security control measures on consignments of air cargo received from a shipper. Cecilia Dapa is the Minister for Aviation.
I believe if you are not responsible for a baggage, then the baggage becomes without a consignee or consignor. So all these things are categorization of stakeholders to make sure every facet of the aviation system is covered. If you are sending cargo to him over there, you should be the responsible person to be registered with Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. People should be responsible for their actions. And this is one way of making sure that nobody will tell us we don't know who sent this, and it happens. People will disown baggage at the airports when they realize that they've been found out. This time you cannot do that. You are consigned from here. So it gets there and it's still yours.
Director General for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alute, further explains how the system will work.
The regulated agents of these ground handling companies and so on will have to comply to security standards as relates to transportation of dangerous goods and general cargo import and export, to ensure that there's no threat to the civil aviation industry. The ground handlers, like I say, like Avians, Menzies, and cargo operators like Air Ghana and the AFSEC unit of Ghana Airports Company Limited, the screeners will have to go through testing. And once you are successful, you are certificated, and gives us the assurance that you can do the job efficiently.
The Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Aviation Security Workshop was organized in collaboration with the UK Department for Transport, focusing on how to enhance security in airports within the sub-region.
Two new airlines, Ashanti and Gold Coast Airlines, have submitted applications to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority to operate both domestic and regional services. This follows earlier announcements that 5 airlines were undergoing various certification stages to commence operations in the country. Speaking to Joy Business, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alute, explained the airlines have just begun the certification processes.
The Civil Aviation Authority has received applications from Ashanti Airlines and Gold Coast Airlines for an air carrier license. That's the very, very first stage. We go through what we call the economic license or the air carrier licensing. We review the business plan of the prospective airline. We work with them to make sure it's feasible, is viable, and once that is completed, we obtain national security clearance for the prospective operator. If it's successful, then they are issued with the air carrier license. Once they get the air carrier license, they go through a 5-phase certification program, and upon completion, they are issued with what we call an AOC, or Air Operator Certificate, which makes them a full-fledged airline capable of operating scheduled passenger services and cargo operations. Yeah.
Let's now move away from aviation. And the Agriculture Ministry has assured the recent reports of 4 armyworm invasion of some farms in the country is under control. This comes on the back of reports the pests said to have destroyed some 14,330 hectares of maize farms last year have resurfaced in areas around the southern sector, including Obuasi, Doma, and Aogo. The developments has led to some international organizations like the USAID caution the situation could pose a major threat to the country's food security. Deputy Minister of Agri, George Udru, however, tells Joy Business his outfit has instituted the required measures to manage the situation.
Farms in Obuasi, Doma and Agogo are among areas where the fall armyworms have again been sighted. Speaking to Joy Business, the Deputy Minister for Agric, George Odro, explained that after visiting the fields, the situation is firmly under control.
So far, we have not recorded any loss as at now, because the chemicals are there at every district in the country. In the southern sector here, this is where we have started the planting. The northern sector, we have not started the planting. So every district in the southern sector here, we have enough chemicals. So as soon as it shows up, then the farmer will just inform the district director of Agric, and the chemical will be supplied to the farmer free of charge. And when it is applied, they are gone. So I've been to the field the whole of last week. I was not in Accra. I was on the field, and we have a success story to tell that the chemicals have been effective and the farmers are reporting promptly. So as at now, we are not having any problem so far as the armyworms are concerned.
The Deputy Minister further added the previous incidents barely affected yields last year.
Last year, it affected about 5%. That one is true. It affected about 5%, but that wasn't much. So it didn't affect our total production, not at all.
Sheila Tamaklu for Joy Business.
Now, the projected increase in prices of petroleum products could trigger upward adjustments in transport fares in the coming weeks. The following analysis explains why there could be some justification for fares going up.
There is an agreement between the Transport Ministry and transport operators that any time price of petroleum products goes up by more than 5%, there is a correspondence review in fares. This is to help the operators deal with the expected costs associated with a review in fuel prices. Now, Joy Business calculations indicated that over the past 1 month or within the last quarter, fuel prices have gone up more than that 5%, a development that could result in operators pushing for an adjustment in fares. It is, however, not clear for now whether the Transport Ministry would grant any formal request from transport operators, taking into consideration other variables like insurance and spare parts. For some analysts, any increase in transport fares could erode some marginal gains made in terms of the marginal stability in general prices of goods and services.
Meanwhile, the Institute of Energy Security, IES, says all the key determinants of pricing were pointing to an increment in petroleum prices for the second window in April. Principal researcher Richmond Roxon explained on the marketplace some determinants earlier.
The factors that influence petroleum prices on the local market have been negative. If you check, you realize that the S&P Global Platts benchmark shows clearly that petrol and diesel prices went up. Petrol went up by about 6%, diesel went up by about 5%. We check our exchange rate, our CD moved from 4 cedi 51 pesos to 4 cedi 55 pesos, a depreciation of about 0.89%. Even though it's less than 1%, it's still going to have an impact on what pricing will be. Crude oil prices are also going up on the international market, as it speaks, is trading around $72, but the average for the period was $69 per barrel, as compared to the previous average of $66, which is a price change of about 4%. So these are the indicators that are influencing prices negatively.
Now, Richmond,
second pricing window.
Okay.
If you check our statement, we are still paying 10 pesos for LPG, 10 pesos for gas oil, and 12 pesos for gasoline. And in our statement, we also captured that this imminent increase can be abated if the National Petroleum Authority decides to trigger the price stabilization mechanism, which normally we depend on the price stabilization of recovery levy to be able to deal with it. Once the government feels like consumers have already seen an increase in the first pricing window, government can kickstart that stabilization mechanism to be able to keep prices where they are now. If not, then consumers must be prepared to pay for it.
Now, in other stories, members of the Adansimine Progressive Association are asking government to review its agreement with AngloGold Ashanti as the company prepares to resume mining operations in Obuasi. The group cites a proposal by AngloGold Ashanti where there is an agreement to set aside $2 per ounce to the Obuasi Community Trust Fund. It says this is inimical to the development of the town. The group also said the current agreement doesn't augur well for the town's development, which has already seen little development throughout the mining period. for over 121 years. Here's Nana Sensu-Mensah's report.
We will show AGA and Ghana that the land belongs to us. Yes. We, the Adanse people, these Adanse traditional chiefs back us, and we will not allow only one company to take us for granted. We will ask for another company. Preferably, if not the AGA, who is on our way sabotaging us, there are more companies that are ready to work on demands. So if we don't visit this agreement, APA and Adanse people will make sure that other AGA will leave or listening word. We have potential investors. There are a lot of investors that are ready to man this company. Because AGA and the government are in bed together, that's why we don't have opportunity to invite other investors to come in. If you don't listen to us and give us our grievances, we make sure another investor will come in and then we see what it was. The development agreement signed between government and the AGA company needed to be revisited. And it should involve our traditional authorities and stakeholders and opinion leaders like APA. 2, the development of Obuasi and its adjoining communities should be at the center stage of any agreement that will be signed. Special funds should be set aside from the revenue by the government of Ghana for development of Obuasi and its adjoining communities. You look at the network, road network in Obuasi, it's very sad. We need that fund for the development. 3, the contribution of AGA Ghana company should be 5% per ounce from Obuasi mines into the AGA Obuasi Community Trust Fund. 4, the training of workers for the company, Obuasi community should be given a priority, a quota of 80%, and it should be free without any cost to the trainees. 5, we are urging all 6 MPs of Adanse and 2 MPs from Amansie to add their voice on behalf of Adanse and Amansie. We believe that we have parliamentarians who will advocate the interests of Adanse and Amansie constituencies. 6, on security, we know AGA Ghana collapsed through loot and share by saboteurs. We therefore want AGA company to employ its own security to avert thievery of gold and property. We, however, support the idea of AGA giving out other departments to contractors, but employees should be mostly indigenous. Security cannot be mortgaged. No way.
Now, the springing up of fast food joints across several parts of the capital has made it easier for some workers and commuters who are unable to fix for themselves breakfast before their busy daily routines commence. Although most fast food joints are known to offer continental dishes, some vendors of local dishes are taking the meaning of fast foods to another level. Karen Dodo reports.
It's a Monday morning rush hour, and fixing yourself the favorite wache may seem almost impossible. You are late for work and stuck in traffic. No time to join the long queue for your heavy breakfast.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Atomic Wache, we are here one thing. We have wache going for 10.
We are all about providing the best Ghanaian delicacy to Ghanaians at their own convenience. We have a 7 cedi package, we have 10 cedi, and then we have 12 cedi package. The 7 and the 10 are the most patronized package on the street. So then the 10 and the 12, they all come with water, and then with the fish or meat, sausage, egg, and all the wache stuff.
This local dish made up of rice and beans is usually sold along the streets. Now, with the help of 3 marketers, Jeffrey, Priscilla and Jeffrey, the dish can be acquired in traffic in the rush hour of the day.
It's also a set from Bank of Africa. I used to provide food for my colleagues every day. So we used to buy the food and then supply. So then I decided that instead of buying it from somebody else, why not be the main supplier of the food? And it always used to make me late for office because I have to go and join long queues and then come to the office. My boss will bash me for being late and all that. So then I decided to create some sort of convenience.
Some customers who spoke to Joy Business explained how convenient this new marketing strategy is.
As a driver, it's sometimes difficult to pack and buy food to eat. But with Atomic Wache, I can even eat in traffic.
It's very good and convenient, especially workers going to work in the morning. It saves you from parking your car and joining a queue to make your order.
Although Prisless team has managed to brand Atomic Wache, the story is different for others. Madam Rahina Tu is the owner of VIP Cocoa, a popular porridge joint in Accra. She has been in the business for close to 21 years. Rahina Tu tells me that the decision to brand her cups of porridge comes at a price.
Now we are all aware of the health risks in using plastics for hot food, so I decided to introduce paper cups in serving the porridge.
Rahina Tu is able to sell over 500 cups of a variety of porridge a day. The demand for packaged food is growing worldwide due to its convenience and health benefits.
I had plans of branding the porridge I sell, but the plain paper cups to be used for the branding are quite expensive, and that may affect the price of my food, which I don't want.
A research by Transparency Market shows that the global green packaging market is expected to grow by more than 60% by 2018, driven by waste reduction targets, increasing awareness of carbon emissions, rapidly growing economies, a lack of natural resource, and consumers' preference for eco-friendly products. Rahina Tu is not deterred by the regular investment in disposable cups to serve her food. She is only determined to satisfy the needs of workers in style. Reporting for Joy Business, Karen Gould.
Time now for our interview of the day, and a group of former staff of defunct UT and Capital banks has registered its displeasure at the delays by auditing firm PricewaterhouseCoopers to pay arrears due them and other exit packages as their employment contracts were terminated abruptly. They lament, despite the many years of their lives spent in the industry, their efforts have been thrown to the wolves. Spokesperson of the group, Stephen Ernest Enin, has been explaining to Joy Business in an interview.
We've not received our end of service benefits and also our provident fund. Then comes again the big question of our severance. So we are only appealing to the government that they should come to our aid and give us what is due us, because now we are hustling.
But have you heard government saying they were going to issue bonds to be able to declare some of these debts? Can't you just wait for these bonds to be issued before you get your money?
Do you think that the government, don't you think that the government should have thought about all this and its repercussions before giving the bank into receivership? I mean, serving down the lane, if you are not working, you have families to take care of. And you know the Ghanaian setting, your immediate family and the extended families to take care of. Would you have the patience to wait after 7 months so that the government raises money to pay you?
And there comes the questions, whilst what government thought of all this, then customers' funds as well. Don't you also as staff think about customers' funds?
We do think about customers' funds because, of course, we are also customers. We are also internal customers. So if the security of customers' funds is assured and is secured now, wouldn't you agree with me that the staff should have also been taken care of to alleviate the hardship that we are currently facing? Because assuming that, you know what the SDI says, that in the scheme of events, after the creditors have been paid, the next third person on the line to be paid is the receivers, meaning Pricewaterhouse. So you ask the question that
And on that note, we wrap up this evening's edition of Business Live. It's been great having you on board. My name is Emmanuel Boaji. Have a good evening.